Farmweek is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, it's a one-of-a-kind show. That's because it's Artis Ford's last Farm Week show. He is retiring after 32 years on Farm Week. We'll take a look at his career that spanned 3 decades of Mississippi agriculture. Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Today it is a very special edition of the program. We're sad to announce Artis Ford is leaving. This is his last show. He is retiring from Mississippi State University after 32 years on Farm Week. And I have to ask, I know it's not possible, is there one story that could stick out amongst the how many you've done in that many years?
Well, you know, there are stories that stick out, but when I see a story, I can immediately remember pretty much what we did that day. I mean, it's that kind of memory comes back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there have been a lot of good. Main thing is the people you get to meet when you go out on the stories. So that's what makes the story special. And then we get to tell their story. And I always say, let's do the best job we can, because for a lot of these people, you know, this is their one time in the spotlight. So we want to make sure that spotlight shines properly on them.
Well, certainly, in addition to me, you have worked with a lot of talented folks over these years, over these 32 years.
Of course, Tyson Gare was the managing editor of Farm Week when I came the first time. And so, you know, he really taught me how to do Farm Week, you know, and I admit my production agriculture knowledge was not, and so he taught me a lot about that as well.
And I think we have some photos. I think a photo of you and Tyson. Yeah,
we've got, it's hard to believe it. I always tell people I was 14 years old when I first started on Farm Week. That wasn't true, but I look so young sometimes. There's Tyson there on the left with Tim Meeks and Rebecca Therrell, and Tyson again on the right with Scott Huffman. And you and I, that's when you came, 1994, right. The first year you came. And then, of course, there's one of the TV Center crew photos, Brian Utley and with you and I, and then Amy Taylor Myers now.
That's right. You came in 2007, I believe. Yeah. And there again, you and Tyson, and this was back when Farm Week was done at Mississippi Public Broadcasting.
We were still down at Mississippi Public Broadcasting on there, and that's 1983. So that's somewhere in the first year that I was there. And boy, I tell you what, I look so young. I don't look like I should be reporting on anything. I don't look like I have any experience to do that.
And of course, as you saw there, the graphics for the market, you've seen a lot of changes, not only in agriculture, but in television technology over all these years.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I started out in the business, I worked for 2 commercial stations, news reporting, and we actually had film. I mean, we had 16 millimeter magnetic stripe film.
Right.
So I can say that I have spanned it all the way from film to digital.
Now, there's no telling how many miles you have traveled in all these years statewide. When we talk about 32 years just to get to all these different stories.
I remember one year I kept track of it, and I traveled about 30,000 miles in one year. Now that was when we used to have to still go to Jackson to produce the studio part of the show. But yeah, I kept track of it one year, and it was actually about 30,000 miles.
And so again, I believe it was 1991 was a landmark time when the show moved to Mississippi State University's campus.
Yep, in October of 1991, we moved from production down in Jackson to all the production being on campus. So, and so that's hard to believe too. I mean, I got quick calculations, that's 25 years ago.
That's right.
This fall, thereabouts.
So, it doesn't seem like it.
No, it doesn't at all. It will be 25 years ago this fall that we moved from public television up to the Mississippi State University campus.
And I'm sure we'll talk a little later more about what your plans are now for the future.
Well, I'm like everybody, you know, we're planning on traveling, that kind of thing. But I like old Volkswagens, plan on working on some of those, working on the family land down in Smith County. So there'll be things to keep me busy.
Well, know that our studio door will always be open for you, and I hope you will take our calls and questions along the way as well.
As long as you have a cup of coffee with you, I'll be all right. We're planning on eventually moving down to Smith County to live on the land there, and I like to be outside, and so that'll work out well in terms of that, to be able to get out on a tractor and clean up around the place. So.
Well, needless to say, even on Artis Ford's last day, it wouldn't be Farm Week without a trivia quiz, and we have one today, and it has to do with Artis. Artis has sat in the anchor chair on a lot of shows, and our question, we want to know how many Farm Week shows has Artis Ford actually co-hosted? Was it 1,053, 1,245, 1,313, or 1,600? I'll have the answer after our second feature story today.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll have the Farm Week calendar and one more feature story for you. Our last feature story today will tell you why a forestry consultant can make you money versus selling your timber on your own.
Each year, many Mississippians are seriously injured or killed when farm tractors overturn. One cause of these accidents is improper hitching. If a tractor is hitched at any point above the drawbar, it can flip over backwards. Never hitch a tractor using the bar between the 3-point hitch upper and lower links or at the top link attachment point. The stationary drawbar is the only safe location for tractor hitching. A message from the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Now, before we get back to our last feature story, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The annual Rice Field Day takes place Tuesday, July 19th. The location is the CAPS Center at Mississippi State University's Delta Research and Extension Center at Stoneville. The program starts at 7:30 a.m. The fields tours start at 8 a.m. Lunch will be served. Thursday, August 11th is the date for the annual Agronomics Row Crops Field Day at the North Mississippi Research and Extension Center of Mississippi State University. It runs from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The participants will meet at the Conference Center of the Lee County Agri Center on Highway 145 at Verona. The field tours will leave from there. Lunch will be served. The potential for using unmanned aircraft, commonly known as drones, is on the agenda. Irrigation, corn hybrids, cotton, and soybeans will be covered. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Well, Artis has done a lot of feature stories for Farm Week, and Farm Week loves to find a farmer or landowner who is willing to try something that's both innovative and effective. The story you're about to see aired originally 15 years ago on Farm Week in 2001. It's a bittersweet story now because Bill Thomas, its subject, died in a head-on car wreck 3 years after Farm Week visited. We called on Thomas because he was conservation-minded as far as his farming, taking care of Egypt Planting Company, his family's land south of Greenwood, Mississippi. Thomas was helping to conserve groundwater resources by recycling some of his irrigation water.
Ooh, man, this is the best one we got right here. By far the best relief situation we got.
Bill Thomas is speaking about one of the electric pumps on his farm he uses to recycle irrigation water. It's not a widespread practice in agriculture, but it's one that comes naturally to Thomas. Thomas irrigates 280 acres of Egypt plantation using what is called tailwater recovery.
I like this idea about recycling the water because we recycle, like I said, all our poly pipe. We recycle all the plastic jugs. And we recycle all of our metal that comes off the farm, and we recycle all our oil that comes off the farm. So why not recycle water?
This tailwater recovery system irrigates 80 acres.
With furrow irrigation, a pipe takes well water to the uphill side of a field. The water then flows down the field between the rows. Some of the water, however, makes it out to the end of the field. This water normally flows into a drainage ditch and is used only once. With tailwater recovery, the water is collected at the end of the field. In Thomas's case, he made a collection basin by enlarging an existing drainage ditch. He installed a water control structure so the basin would fill like a pond. A pump then moves the recovered water through an underground pipe back to the high side of the field. From there, it waters the plants again. Recycling is not a new idea at Egypt Plantation. It was founded in 1835 on the banks of the Yazoo River. The Thomas family bought it in 1917. Bill's father, the late Tall Thomas, was named 1993's Mississippi Farmer of the Year. Thomas says his father and his grandfather taught him to be conservation-minded.
It excites me to see this. You know, you can see the water coming down the rows, coming into the pit, and then going back up.
You don't think about irrigating and losing that much water. You think the crop is taking it up, but you know, to irrigate, you have to have a good flow down the row middle, and you know, you're going to lose a little bit.
Dale Garner has worked with Thomas as the LaFleur County District Conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Thomas built his tailwater recovery systems with cost-share assistance from the NRCS. The first was an 80-acre system installed in 1994. The latest, installed in 1999, irrigates 200 acres. It was built with the help of EQIP, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. It will pay up to 75% of the cost of implementing projects which benefit the environment. EQIP is a competitive program where farmers bid how much of the project's cost they're willing to share. Projects are ranked for acceptance according to the environmental benefits achieved versus their cost.
You can sign up anytime. It's like a continuous sign up. So anytime you need something or think about it, you know, they're welcome to come into the office and sign up. You know, we just get money approved, you know, once a year, usually in the spring. But, you know, we could have you on the list, have the plan worked up, kind of estimate the cost, and as soon as money's available, then, you know, they'd be ready to sign up and hopefully be approved on it.
Cost-share conservation programs are important to farmers, particularly in times of low crop prices like the last 3 years. Conservation is not always cheap. It costs less to drill an irrigation well than to build a tailwater recovery system.
The economics is not quite there to make it economical or practical compared to drilling a well without some kind of a cost-share help.
Sometimes it's a little more expensive to do this. You know, it'd be cheaper just go put in a well. But he's looking, you know, he's going to be in farming for a long time, looking down the road. And, you know, it may cost him a little more now, even with the government cost share. But, you know, down the road, we may have to do more surface irrigation. You know, it could get to the point where you can't just put in a new well.
While installation costs are greater for tailwater recovery systems, energy costs to run them can be cheaper. It takes less power to pump water from a surface source than a deep well. Thomas has taken advantage of natural drainage patterns to install his present 280 acres of tailwater recovery systems. He says all the easy places are gone now, and future ones will require more effort and expense.
We're conserving water, which I think long term, all farmers have got to be thinking about that irrigate. We've got to conserve our water because, you know, 50 years from now, we may not have it if we don't start now.
Again, another great example, a story that you took, someone used research-based information and did something others can emulate.
You know, with Bill, he had grown up on the place, but actually worked in Jackson. He was an attorney. But when his dad died, he moved back and ran the place. And he had a enthusiasm like you just wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And that's why
that passion came across.
All those conservation things were happening on the place. And like I said, I can still remember being there and talking to him that day, and then for him, you know, to tragically die in a car wreck about 3 years later. You know, Farmweek is not immune from life. You know, those sorts of things happen. But he had a vision. He was looking out to the future,
and he really carried it out there very well.
And he did.
Well, we're going to pause now for some Farm Week facts on this special edition of the show. Now, many believe Artis Ford has always been on Farm Week since the beginning, but that's not the case. Farm Week first came on the air on October 3rd, 1977. Artis first came to work on Farm Week in January 1983. He left Farm Week in 1987, though, for a bit to host Georgia Sunrise for the University of Georgia Extension Service. And he returned to Farm Week 2 years later in 1989, and he has been here ever since. Next, we have an excerpt from an Artis Ford feature story. This one is another where real people share their experiences and hope that it would help others. Now, this story is about people who use forestry consultants and ended up dramatically increasing the timber income from their property. This story first aired on Farm Week in 2002. An artist says it has the best line ever said to him in an interview.
We don't know anything about timber. It was out there, and we don't know anything about it. So if they want to get paid for it, that's exactly what they need to do, is get a consultant.
It was a life-changing expense. I went from borrowing money to loaning money.
Selling timber isn't usually termed a life-changing experience, but that's the way Mamie Carpenter and her husband Grady describe it. In 1997, the Carpenters wanted to sell 500 acres of timber located in Carroll County. While Mr. Carpenter was an experienced cattleman, he knew little about timber. One timber buyer made the Carpenters an initial offer, but fortunately, Grady Carpenter did not accept it.
And we went and hired a consultant. And he got us, 7 times, a little better 7 times what we had ever been offered for it.
Yes, the Carpenters received 7 times their initial offer. That would have never happened except they first got in touch with Extension Service Forester Tim Troggett of Mississippi State University. During his visit to the land, Troggett saw the Carpenters' timber was worth much more than the initial offer indicated. It took Troggett some time, but he convinced Grady Carpenter the timber was worth hiring a private forestry consultant to conduct a sealed bid sale.
I couldn't believe that I had that kind of money out there on that old place. Because I'd been with it there all my life, or 40-something years. And I had no idea there was that kind of money out there on that blame place. I really didn't. And I owe him an awful lot for getting me started on the right track.
Extension Forester Troggett says when a consultant conducts a timber sale for a landowner, it's not unusual for the bids to at least double the initial offers.
And when the timber procurement foresters or timber buyers are dealing with the consultant, they know he knows just as much about that timber, and it kind of levels that field out, and they know he's not going to sell it for less than it's worth.
Okay, we're not airing that whole feature, but there you heard it, gentlemen. Mr. Carpenter, I went from borrowing money to loaning it.
That's a good position to be in.
That's a good line, borrowing to loaning.
One of the best I ever heard.
For sure. Well, joining us now is Troy Mulling. Now, Troy is going to be Artis Ford's replacement after he retires. And Troy, you're no stranger to broadcasting or the Mid-South.
That's right. Thanks, guys, for having me. Yeah, I've been in the TV business for a little over 14 years now. From Memphis, spent my first, I won't say how long, over 10 years in the Memphis market, though. And for the last couple, have been working in Missouri, doing meteorology and also some reporting as well.
So is there a chance we'll see some meteorology on Farm Week in the future?
Might be fun to add a little bit of a weather segment because, I mean, so much of agriculture, weather they go hand in hand a lot of times. So it might be fun to kind of meld the two together from time to time.
And those meteorology credentials we might mention are from Mississippi State.
That's right. Certified broadcast meteorologist through Mississippi State.
And you just moved here, and I know you're getting accustomed to what we do, and we look forward to having you on the road with us.
I look forward to co-hosting the show with you. Congrats, of course, to Artis for his retirement. He's been showing me the ropes for the last couple weeks, and ready to get started, and gonna have a really fun show, and hope to introduce some new segments as well. Gonna be a good time.
Did we mention, well, I guess we did,
okay,
about you got to dye your hair red?
That's true. I've got an appointment with the salon later this week. It's going to be bright red. Not quite sure if folks will be able to tell us apart.
Well,
But,
that's
yeah.
just, we're trying to get some continuity going here.
You got to have the continuity. Come on, got to have that.
But Troy is an experienced storyteller. He's done many packages, most recently in Missouri, but look forward to your contributions.
Well, I look forward to it too, and thanks again.
When you heard about the job, what interested you?
Well, I love that it's. See, when I first heard of it, I thought, what a great way to combine some aspects that I really love as far as reporting, being creative, and maybe trying to add in a little bit of weather into that as well. And also, I think it's great to inform people as far as agriculture, farming, helping with that whole lifestyle aspect of their day-to-day life as well.
Well, I'll say this, if you'll go out there and just the meeting people, and I'm a curious person, just going out and finding out what they're doing, that to me is the joy of the job.
Mm-hmm. It's just great meeting the people around the state.
Again, we want to say welcome to Troy Moling, who will be joining me each and every week here on Farm Week starting next week.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
I think you're going to do well.
Well, thank you, and good luck in retirement to you.
Thank you.
Well, it's time now for the answer to today's trivia quiz on Farm Week. We wanted to know, how many shows has Artis Ford co-hosted on the program? The answer is D, more than 1,600. Now, we record a Farm Week every week, so that is 52 a year, and that all starts to add up after 39 years of shows. Now, as of today, 1,972 Farm Weeks have been produced. And you were here for a heck of a lot of those.
Though, I say, I really can't think about what life's going to be like without Farm Week. We've been really busy in June.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to get to the other end and what's going to happen, because I guess I told somebody my body is just going to say on Wednesday morning I'm supposed to be in the studio over at the University Television Center.
Well, you spoke earlier about the deadlines, the hard deadlines that are associated with doing a weekly show, and yeah, I wonder myself what your life will be like without
I'm
those.
sure I'm going to have to get used to that part of that one. I though would like to I'd like to thank you. It's been great working with you, and that's one of the things I really miss is you laugh at all my jokes.
Well, we've been good colleagues, certainly good working relationship, because we have traveled untold number of miles across the state, and I thank you for all you've done for me since I arrived in 1994.
Well, you have to kind of get along together, because otherwise you'll kill each other.
That's true.
I mean, so the alternative is the other way, but when you do have somebody that you enjoy working with, which Leighton has been, and other people as well, but of course in the last 21 years, that it makes going on those long rides easier, because you know this person, one of the things I'll say is, I'm bored. Well,
you joke about good chemistry, but no doubt we have had great chemistry over all these years, and kind of feel like we're in a situation similar, to Dak Prescott leaving Mississippi State football. We've got some new players in now. We've had training camp, so we're entering a new era.
Well, I'd also like to thank the viewers out there, the ones that have supported us faithfully. They're gracious to us. You know yourself, you're out somewhere and somebody will walk up to you and say, hey, I watch Farm Week. Also to the people who allow us to come on their farms or their places to tell their stories. I mean, they're nervous. They're wondering how are they going to make me look? And so,
is it going to be like 60 Minutes or what?
And I've always tried in doing this on our feature stories, especially, to do a job so that later on those people would want to invite us back. Because once again, like I said, it's their story. I want to tell it in the best way that I can. I have to stay a little bit later to make it look.
Yeah.
It's just because it is their story, and chances are it's their one time in the spotlight. And so I want to make that happen right. So as long as Farm Week keeps that up, I think things will be fine. Farm Week is about people, and it's about people doing things and wanting to share that with other people because they want to see other people succeed as well. It's not that they're on our show saying, look at me, I'm a great person, what I'm doing is really great. They actually share it in hopes that somebody else will see it and say, hey, I could do that on my place, and I think it would make a difference. So that to me is what makes a great Farm Week story.
Well, you set the bar very high, and we will do our best to meet that and exceed it, hopefully, sometimes.
But
I thank you for everything.
well,
It's
I
been
thank
great.
you. I thank you as well, because you truly have made working here, coming to work every day, you've made things go a lot smoother. Like I say, you do laugh at my jokes. You let me rib you. I rib him kind of hard sometimes, and he takes it. I mean, so we have gotten along really well.
Perhaps you need to consider writing a book. You've got a lot of things you could
I don't
tell
know
about a
that.
lot of
Problem
people.
is, I didn't keep a lot of notes. Didn't keep a lot of notes. Like I said, I can't tell you how many actual farm weeks that I have done, because I didn't keep that number. I guess I just didn't feel like I needed to. So.
Right.
But sir, I appreciate you, and of course, we'll still be friends.
Well, like I said, the door will always be open, and we hope to see you.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, Leighton, let me close out Farm Week for one last time. We are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, see what happens when a father and his children catch the old iron bug.
The Dixon family shares a passion and some sibling rivalry when it comes to restoring tractors. You'll be impressed by the quality of their work and the variety of the tractors they have.
In the food factor, it's going to be watermelon time. Now, picking a good one can be difficult, but Natasha will give us some advice on detecting a good ripe one.
And in Southern Gardening, you'll see some outstanding plants for color in the shade.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. Have a good week.